What's up guys, Noah Sanford here, hanging out in my garage right now because I've been absolutely slammed with guide trips this week. I've not had time to film the fishing report in our tackle store or on the lake like usual, but that's all right. We're still gonna give you guys the fishing report, let you guys know what's going on for this weekend, so that way Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you guys can hopefully get out there and slam some bass on Lake Mead this weekend. So, let's just jump right into it like usual. Let's talk about wind conditions going into this weekend. So Friday's gonna be perfect, just a slight breeze at most. Saturday looks a little bit breezy. Looks like you might have a bit of wind in the afternoon, but definitely nothing that isn't manageable. I think it's like gusts to 12 or 13 miles an hour with a constant of 5 to 7. So you really don't have to worry about the wind. And Sunday looks really good too. There's not gonna be pretty much any wind Sunday or Friday. So wind is looking good, guys. If you have a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday coming up, you're gonna be good wind-wise. So let's jump into the water temperatures I've been seeing this week. So pretty dang similar to last week, if you guys saw last week's video. We were looking at like 58 to 58 and a half, right in that range. And this week, I've been seeing pretty much the same with just about a ½ degree difference. So I'm finding 57 and a half to 58, depending on where I'm at in the lake. So that's kind of gonna be your water temperature. With the warm weather we've been having the last couple days and this last week, it's really kept those water temperatures up in those high 58s instead of in those low 50s, which is usually what it is this time of year. But can't believe I've been out on the water on January 1st in nothing but a sun shirt and just this flannel over top of it for the last little bit. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm hoping that that doesn't mean this summer coming up is gonna be like 150 degrees, which is definitely possible, but it's been a really, really nice winter so far. So enough of the wind and the weather. Let's get into where I've been catching these fish. So the areas that I've been catching these fish in this last week have been steeper and rockier places throughout the lake. Now that doesn't mean you can't go out and target those fish in those sandy flats or those typical coves, but I've been focusing on the steeper, rockier parts of this lake this week. The reason for that, my theory, is that just like how here in Vegas, have you guys ever went outside in the summertime on like a July or August night, and it might be 80 or 85 outside, but then you put your hand close to the concrete, and the concrete is actually hotter than the air outside. While that air might be 80 or 85, that concrete is still 90 or 95 degrees. The reason for that, the sun comes up throughout the day, and in the middle of the day, in the afternoon and evening, when the hottest part of the day happens, that concrete heats up. And so I have a similar theory or philosophy with Lake Mead. A lot of this lake is steep and it's rock. And that rock does the same thing that the concrete does like in the summertime. As that sun gets up in the middle of the day and throughout the afternoon and evening in that hottest part of the day, that rock heats up, okay? And what that does is draw the fish towards that rock, because the fish are, even though 58 is not that cold, it's still pretty cold for these fish. So they want to stay warm and they want to hug those rocks in those places that provide a heat source. And so that's kind of my theory on it, and it's made sense for me, and it's been a good way for me to target these fish throughout the wintertime here on Lake Mead, and it works. So that's kind of my whole idea when it comes to where to fish this time of year. If you guys have watched any of my videos recently, you're going to notice that a majority of the places, for the exception of a few, have been on those steeper, rockier parts of the lake. This time of year, I don't focus too much on school of bait fishing or trying to chase that bait around because it's moving so much. Now, if it was a tournament, I might look for those areas. But for guiding, it's so inconsistent that you'll go to a place that had a school of bait and fish one day, or not even one day, 1 hour, and then you'll go back the next hour and it's completely gone. So when it comes to guiding, or if you just have a weekend to get out there, it's gonna be tough to drive around that whole lake and just focus on trying to find those schools of bait. So if you want a consistent bite, not necessarily a bite where you're gonna catch a bunch of fish in a school of bait where they're feeding, but if you want a consistent bite, I would focus on those places that are steeper and that are rockier, because it's gonna provide that heat source for those bass and they're gonna hug to those places. Time of day, afternoons and evenings, guys. I don't even mess with the morning this time of year unless it's a tournament, because one, you freeze your butt off, and two, the fish aren't as active. Sure, you can go out there and catch fish in the morning time. I never said you can't, but I've found if you go out in the morning from daybreak to noon, you might catch 5 or 10 fish. If you go out from noon to dark, you might catch 15 or 20 fish. So that's kind of the pattern I've been finding. So I don't usually mess with the mornings for the most part. Moving into the baits I've been using. Finesse baits, guys. I'm not going to focus on specifics because there's a million of them out there, but use your small finesse baits out here on Lake Mead this time of year. Now that doesn't mean you can't chuck an A-rig out there and roll it and maybe get a bite, or throw a glide bait or rip a crankbait. You can try all that stuff. Give it a shot by all means. But the most consistent bite I've been finding is with those smaller finesse baits. So light line, I'm using 5 or 6 pound test, usually to an 8 to 10 pound braid. So 5 or 6 pound fluoro to an 8 to 10 pound braid line. And then when it comes to the actual baits, I'm using usually nothing heavier than a 1/4 ounce. So I'm using between a 1/10 and a 1/5 ounce when it comes to the head I'm using, or the drop shot I might be using. And when it comes to the baits, right, I'm gonna fish those baits slow and on the bottom. So if I'm fishing a steep rock wall, I'm gonna pitch it up on those rocks, let it sink. Less is more this time of year, guys. As much as you might think you have to go out there and get a reaction bite in the wintertime, which is definitely possible. However, the most effective way I've found to catch these fish consistently has been throwing those finesse baits, working them slow and working them in those rocky areas. So that's my recommendation for you guys going out this weekend if you want the most consistent bite. Now, if you want to go out there and just give it a Hail Mary, throw a big glide bait, okay, throw an A-rig, throw a bigger jig, something like that, and you might produce a bigger bite. However, if you're looking for consistent quality and numbers, throw those finesse baits around those rockier areas. That's how you're going to get them this time of year, guys. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. If we haven't hit 1,000 subscribers when you're watching this, make sure to smash that subscribe button right now. What that's going to do is enter you in for a free fishing charter giveaway with me on Lake Mead, guys. As soon as we hit 1,000, we're going to give away a free fishing charter to a random subscriber. So make sure if you're watching before 1,000 and after 1,000, you might as well subscribe anyways, because we are always giving you guys killer content several times a week for Lake Mead, Lake Mojave, and Willow Beach. But hit that subscribe button, guys. You won't regret it. Good content coming every single week, multiple times a week, sometimes every day, depending on how much I can film. So get out there, guys. Catch those fish this weekend. My name's Noah Sanford. We'll see you guys on the next one.